Welcome to the Service-Based Business Society podcast. Welcome. Super exciting episode number 1 of the Service-Based Business Society podcast. This has been something that I have wanted to do for so long, and seeing it all come together is truly exciting. Thank you so much for being here. And we are starting on the journey of building out, scaling, and creating successful service-based businesses while not losing sleep. You know, one of the pieces that really goes along with this is the concept of sleep. Now, hold tight. When I say without losing sleep, it's because most people need more sleep, myself included. There's scientific evidence, everyone always goes on about it. But ultimately, you can do whatever you want with the time. Maybe you want to spend more time with your kids. Maybe you want to spend more time with your spouse. Maybe you want some more time at the gym, out for a walk, art, you name it. Ultimately, we are trying to build sustainable, scalable businesses that allow us to maintain life. So who am I and why am I talking to you today? Well, my name is Tiffany-Ann, and I spent over a decade scaling a service-based business to over $1 million revenue each month. And the journey to do so and the scaling and the growing pains were all included. Bought the t-shirt. And now I operate a business management agency called Botcher Business Management, and we perform services for small to medium-sized businesses throughout North America in a variety of service-based industries. And we help with things like bookkeeping, social media management, digital marketing, basically a one-stop shop for business and business services. So I come to you with all of this knowledge and a drive to bring value and help you grow your businesses in a way that offers you the ability to also enjoy life. As a mom of 3, I understand what juggling life and business can be like. I understand it firsthand. And I also understand what it's like to be juggling that with life goals, lifestyle choices, and, kids sports, kids activities, or even the transition from maybe working outside of the home or, in corporate to then working for yourself. I experienced this journey when I left my corporate job at the end of April 2021. I made a massive life decision, and I left a role that I had ultimately been a part of building, a team that I had hired and trained and grew with. We grew together. And I made the decision that I wanted to build a business and I wanted to be the entrepreneur. After many years of saying, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. Now, I always was somewhat entrepreneurial. I was, a partner in the organization I worked at. And so we can dive into what it's like to have business partners and how that looks as your business scales. We'll be diving into that on a future episode. But ultimately, the process and the growth and the journey is so important. Building a business is not about the destination, because ultimately, what is the destination? Does anyone know? Does anyone know the end destination? When you're building a business, there's a few possible destinations. Number 1, you could pass your business down to one of your children if you have. You can create that legacy business. The other option is you can sell your business. Or if your business is purely based on you, what happens to your business when you don't want to do it anymore? So we're going to talk and dig into all things business end of life, if you will. Also on a future episode, I'm just dropping in a few topics and things that we are going to be digging into here. But when it comes to your journey, it comes back to a comment my mom has said for my entire life. Growing up, it was on the bottom of every card. It was on every letter that she ever wrote. And it was enjoy the journey. And my decision to leave my corporate job / business partnership was that I was no longer enjoying the journey and I knew that there was something else for me. So I took the plunge. I remember my business partner asking me, we were sitting around the table, we were going through the negotiations of me leaving, what that was going to look like, how that was going to be structured, all of these pieces. And he said, "Where are you going? What are you going to do?" And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "No, really, it's okay. Where are you going?" He and I had been very close for over 10 years. He knew me as the planner, the organizer, that there was no way that I was truly answering the question with, "I don't know." And I said, "I really don't know. I know what I'm not going to be doing, but I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet." I knew I was leaving with years of experience and a great education and so much passion and drive that I could tackle almost anything. But what I was actually going to do with all of that, I didn't know. I truly don't think that he ever believed me when I said I don't know, because it was so unlike me, but I trusted myself, I trusted the process, and I knew there was more. As we go through and we grow our businesses and we decide on each step, there comes a balance of what is the 30,000-foot view? Rising up above the day-to-day, the nuts and bolts, the operational intricacies, the tasks, all the way up to 30,000 feet and saying, "What are we doing here? What is my business? Why? Why am I doing my business? What is the objective?" You'll hear me say this a lot because most questions, when someone asks a question, it comes back to, well, what is the objective? Can we do X? Sure. Why do we want to do X? And so, what is this? What is the objective of our business? And then it also comes back to, what can we offer our business? What makes us unique? Who are we and what are we doing to make ourselves different? At the end of the day, almost everything's been done. Sure, there's some modifications, there's innovation, there's upgrades, but at the end of the day, ultimately, most things have been done. Google My Business is the modern day equivalent of the phone book. It might be different, it might be more modern, but business directories that contain some information about the business and the phone number, it has been done. And so when you really take a look at each step, you think, okay, it's okay that there's other people doing what I want to do because this is why I'm different. This is what makes me better than someone else. For those who don't know, we have a Facebook community for business owners and entrepreneurs. So head on over to Facebook and search for the Service-Based Business Society. There is also a link down in the description. Here on the show, we're going to be talking to business experts in their specific field. Now, I am a huge advocate of the specialist, not the general practitioner. What do I mean by this? There are people on the global stage that are amazing at something, truly amazing at something. And those are the people that we want to learn from. We want to learn from the very best, the specialists. And so here on the show, we're going to be interviewing and discussing with experts all of the pieces that from their specialty can help support your business. One of the pieces we'll be dealing with and looking at with each of the people on the show is what is a tangible tip that you can implement today and see an impact tomorrow. A lot of times we see things from this big scale, the 30,000-foot view. We know we need to do all of these different pieces. But sometimes it's very hard then to bring it down into, well, how do I do that in my business? The Service-Based Business Society podcast is going to be looking at both the 30,000 foot view, but also bringing it back down. We also want to have those tangible tips. We want to know how to implement it in your business. It's important as the entrepreneur, the business owner, the visionary for your business to be able to take that 30,000 foot view and look at the big picture. What is the objective of my business? What is the objective of these services? How do these pieces fit together to be the business that I want to have? And so business comes down to two things. I know. You're going to say, oh my goodness, there are 5,000 things that make up my business. Two things. Realistically, running a business, growing a business comes down to the ability to do two things very well. The R&R of business. Number one, manage risk. Number two, manage resources. So let's dig into those a little. Your ability to manage risk is key to the success of your business. Without the ability to manage risk, you may or may not have a successful business, and you may or may not know when your successful business is going to very quickly become an unsuccessful business because one of the risks you've left comes to end all success. Now, that might sound a little bit doom and gloom, but when we talk about taking the step back, looking from the 30,000 foot view and saying, what is my business? We also want to be looking and saying, where are my risks? Now, there is a number of different kinds of risks, things like perceived risk. Oh, if I post this on Facebook, someone's going to criticize me. Someone's going to say something. Someone's going to judge me. That's perceived risk. And ultimately, you still have to manage it. There's also things like injury, damage to a client property. Things like this, without insurance, are a large risk. But adding in insurance manages the risk. And so we need to look for all of the areas of risk in our business so that we can appropriately manage them. Now, entrepreneurs and business owners all have less risk aversion than the average employee. Now, you may say, whoa, no, I don't like risk. If you have left your job where you have a stable paycheck that shows up every 2 weeks or whatever your cycle is, and you have, left stability, financial stability, day-to-day stability. I mean, you go, you work, you go home. You know what it is. You know what the job is. If you have left that behind and in its place, you have started a business where revenue comes up and goes down, profits go up and go down, your workload, all of these different pieces, you are less risk adverse than the average person. Now that we've established that if you're a business owner, you're less risk adverse, there's still going to be varying degrees of risk aversion. Some people truly go with the mindset, no risk, no reward. They're jumping in, they're making risky decisions. It's almost like if you think about it, like investing in the stock market, some people are willing to make those big riskier trades in order to hopefully, grow more profit, grow more wealth. When it comes to managing the risk of your business, the biggest concern as a business is starting is you don't know what you don't know. I have heard hundreds of business owners say, I didn't know. I didn't know that it was a problem until it's these hidden, almost like skeletons in the closet that you don't know exist until they come jumping out at the most inopportune time. So managing risk becomes essential. Now, sometimes we say, that's not a problem now, but as we grow, this will become a bigger potential risk. So there's many different ways of managing risk, each situation unique, but the ability to recognize risk and manage it is key in a business. Now, the other side of the R&R of the business journey is resources. The objective of your business is to create profit. Ultimately, all of these kind of woo-woo things of, oh no, I just am so passionate and blah, blah, blah. Yes. The question, often, oh, if I won the lottery, I would still keep doing this. And yes, I don't disagree with any of those things. I truly, truly love what I do and would do it, even if I won the lottery. But would I do it the same? Would I make decisions the same? Probably not. Because at the end of the day, there comes an element of sustainability. The business must be sustainable. It must be able to support itself. And so when it comes to managing resources, the business not only needs to support the passion and whatnot, but everyone who is running a business is ultimately at the end of the day has some kind of financial aspect. Some financial targets more lofty than others. But at the end of the day, if you are not working towards a profitable business, you have a hobby. Sure, things like not-for-profits or, any of these pieces aside, a business doesn't have to make profit in the first year or even the second year. However, the end goal, the objective of a business, even if they're not turning profit in the first year, is to work towards turning a profit. If you are not working towards turning a profit, you have a hobby. This is entirely different. And it's okay to have hobbies. It is okay to have a hobby that even covers the expenses of the hobby. Maybe you like to paint and sell your paintings and it covers off all of your painting supplies, maybe even a little for your time. Your goal there is to break even. On a small scale, you have an art hobby. So as we dig in and we say the objective here is to make profit, we can say our goal is to manage the resources in a way that maximizes the profit capability of those resources. What does that even mean? It means that if we break down our business into the pieces it takes to offer our service, is it the labor, your labor time? Maybe you have employees. Maybe it's their labor time. Maybe you need certain materials. If you're a drywaller, you need drywall. These are resources of your business. So the job then is to manage the resources in the way that can maximize the profit. So on one side, we are managing risk. Most risk, can be solved with money. For example, your bookkeeping. If not done correctly, you can create risk. Maybe it's not done correctly. Maybe you don't remit the correct amount of tax. Suddenly, you have this potential issue in the future. How could that be solved? Well, you could pay a bookkeeper. Get a quality bookkeeper who understands, who follows the rules, who's going to ask the right questions. And now you don't have a concern. So if money was no object, if profit was no object, you could perhaps hire a bookkeeper. And I highly recommend that there are certain areas. So when you identify an area of potential risk, asking the right questions, speaking to the right people is important. But starting out, maybe it's your first year, maybe you are building and growing your brand and you haven't generated any sales yet. Maybe you can't afford to, your business can't afford to hire a bookkeeper. Okay. So how do we manage the risk without the bookkeeper? So when it comes down to the pieces working together, we must manage the risk with the resources we have. We can't necessarily hire a bookkeeper. We can't hire a social media manager. We can't hire a full-time business strategist. These are pieces that as your business grows, these may or may not be areas that you want to scale into. But it is our job as a business owner to create the sustainable business and grow the business while managing the resources. So you've got money is a resource. Now, whether that comes from capital that you invest into your business when you start, maybe you don't have any capital. Maybe you have an idea and you're just going all in and hoping that you can generate some revenue before you need any cash. But at the end of the day, it ultimately comes down to managing labor hours, materials, cash, whatever these pieces are. It comes down to managing them in a way that maximizes profit, maximizes the sustainability and growth of your business, minimizes the amount of burnout for both yourself and your team. These are key pieces. And so, as much as there can be 5,000 things that we could talk about when it comes to your business, and we can go, 30,000 foot view and we can look at the big picture, or we can drive down all the way, super focused, super detailed, nuts and bolts, and we can look at specific keywords on Google that are turning specific cost per click. That is about as big to as little as we can go. Operating a business is all of these things, the 30,000 foot view, the strategy, the vision, all the way down into specific little keywords. Ultimately, as many of those things as there are, thousands, it really comes down to risk and resources. And working with these risk and resources becomes almost like a challenging math problem. If you think back to when you were doing math and it was, Bob has X amount of basketballs and Joe has this amount of this, and they have this much time, and they have ultimately your business is a long form math problem. You have a certain amount of resources. Some businesses will have 50 resources. Some will have 5 resources. It really depends on your business model, but you must look at your service or product. But today we really do focus on service-based businesses here. So we look at the service and we say, what are the resources? What are the resources it takes to offer that service? And what are those resources on a very broad sense of the term? So it's labor. Now, right now, depending on the size of your business, maybe you're still working in your business and it's all your time. Maybe it is your hours, all of them. Perhaps as you grow, it could be an employee. Sometimes it really depends on the business, whether as you grow, you will work less in the business versus on the business. So as we scale our roles, as we grow and become, into this more leadership role, oftentimes we end up working less in the business. If you are currently day to day working with clients, dealing with tasks, all of these pieces, as your business grows, you may find yourself doing less of those tasks and more working on the business, the people, the team, all these things. It truly depends on your business, your industry, and your objectives. So here at the Service-Based Business Society, we are going to be talking to experts. We are going to be digging into trainings, tangible tips, looking at how we can scale service-based businesses without losing sleep, with maintaining that work-life balance, and whatever that balance looks like for you. It's not a problem to want to work a lot. Entrepreneurs are truly the most passionate people I know. But what it does mean is that that time should be utilized efficiently. You should be working in an efficient, effective manner so that you are maximizing the return on your time. You are maximizing the opportunities you can realize. At the end of the day, your time is your most finite resource. And building businesses and business models that respect that, and offer great return on the time we invest is super key.